Save Your Siblings and Designer Morality. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author. This is the Designer Baby series, reprogramming humanity, one genome at a time. There's a quieter branch of genetic selection that hides in plain sight, rarely challenged, rarely questioned, often praised. It's not the editing of eye color, height, or IQ. It's not enhancement for performance or beauty. It's when a child is created for the purpose of saving another. This episode is about what's known as Save Your Siblings. Children conceived and selected because they are genetically compatible with an older sibling who is sick or dying. These children are not born merely out of desire, they are born out of need. A specific need. A blood match, a stem cell source, a donor, a biological backup plan. A perfect fit, literally. This practice began in the late 1990s and early 2000s, with the first high-profile case being Adam Nash in the United States. His older sister Molly had Fanconi anemia, a rare genetic blood disorder. Adam was conceived through in vitro fertilization and screened to ensure he was a perfect tissue match. His umbilical cord stem cells were used to treat Molly, and she survived. It was celebrated as a medical miracle. News outlets applauded the brilliance of science, the child who saved another child. But that story only asked one question. Did it work? It didn't ask the deeper one. What did it cost? What does it mean to be born not just to live, but to save? Not out of romance or joy, but because someone else needed your body. Even if it's framed with love, even if the parents are kind, even if the child is treated equally. It begins from a place of utility. The child has a function baked into their very conception. And when life begins with an assignment, it sets the tone for everything that follows. Save Your Siblings are chosen through a combination of IVF and pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. Multiple embryos are created. They're tested not just for health, but for compatibility with the sick sibling. The one that offers the best genetic match is selected and implanted. The others, frozen, discarded, or ignored. The entire process is clinical, technical, measured. A child chosen not for their potential, but for their ability to fix someone else. That distinction matters. In many cases, the donation is relatively non-invasive, like umbilical cord blood collected at birth. But in other cases, the pressure grows over time. Marrow transplants, blood draws, organ donations. And with each medical milestone, the Save Your Sibling is called upon to give more. Not asked, not consulted, expected. Because it's why they're here. And that why becomes their origin story, their internal narrative, and sometimes their silent burden. Imagine being the child who hears over and over again, "You saved your brother's life." It sounds beautiful. Until you realize it's not just gratitude, it's pressure. What if the transplant had failed? What if you were incompatible? What if your presence didn't help? What if you grow up asking, would I still be here if my sibling hadn't needed me? This is not a rare or fringe scenario. Fertility clinics worldwide now offer this service. Some market it directly. Others frame it as an advanced family planning option. The language is gentle. Genetic screening, optimizing outcomes, giving hope. But behind it is a system that normalizes life as utility. A system where parents are encouraged to think not just about whether they want a child, but what that child can offer. And we must pause and ask, when you bring life into the world with a specific role assigned, can that life ever be its own? Can that person ever be free? Save Your Siblings are often loved. This isn't about villainizing families. The pain of watching a child suffer or die is unimaginable. When technology offers a way to help, few would refuse. The motives are understandable. But the ethics are not erased by emotion. They must still be faced. What happens if the child refuses future medical procedures? What if they don't want to donate a kidney at age 12? Or marrow at 9? Or tissue as a teenager? What happens if their will, their bodily autonomy, clashes with the expectations baked into their creation? They were born to help. But are they allowed to say no? Legally, children cannot give informed consent. Ethically, their silence is often interpreted as agreement. But is that fair? Is that real choice? And what if they don't know? Many Save Your Siblings aren't told why they were chosen. Or worse, they find out from others. Medical records, siblings, accidental comments. The realization hits like a betrayal. Their origin story wasn't just about love, it was about logistics. Even in the best-case scenarios, the psychological weight remains. A child raised under the label of savior may feel they can never mess up, never disappoint. They may develop anxiety, guilt, or perfectionism. They may struggle with self-worth, always asking, would I be here if not for them? That question haunts, and it exposes the flaw in the logic. The child is never just a sibling. They're a solution. And when your identity starts as a fix for someone else's suffering, your own suffering may never feel valid. You weren't born to hurt, you were born to help. So where do you place your pain? This isn't about rejecting all medical innovation. Stem cells save lives. Genetic screening has power. But when we allow tools designed for healing to become blueprints for assignment, we cross a dangerous threshold. And it's not hard to imagine what comes next. If we accept that a child can be created to save another, what else can they be created for? To comfort a grieving parent, To replace a dead child? To meet a narcissist's vision of legacy? To fulfill a checklist of ideal traits? Save your siblings are just one step in a longer chain. And if we don't question this step, we won't stop the next. History shows that every technological leap becomes normalized once it's wrapped in emotional appeal. First, it's rare. Then it's marketed. Then it's expected. Then it's invisible. How long before the question isn't, should we create a savior sibling? But, why didn't you? Will insurance companies incentivize it? Will medical providers suggest it? Will courts side with parents over unwilling child donors? Will savior siblings one day become so common that their ethical complexity fades entirely? And what happens when the marketing shifts from healing to performance? We are already seeing this happen in embryo selection for intelligence, height, and temperament. The child of the future isn't just a match for their sibling, they're a match for their parents' ideals. And when selection becomes the standard, so does rejection. Let's also ask, what happens if the transplant fails? What happens to the sibling who lives with the grief of being unable to save someone they were designed to save? Do they carry that guilt forever? Do they see their own body as a failure? Do they internalize the idea that they didn't do their job? This is the emotional debris no one wants to talk about. Because the headlines are all about miracles. No one writes about the kids who grow up asking, was I enough? We must separate love from logic. Yes, parents love their children. Yes, these decisions come from desperation. But love does not cancel out the moral reckoning. It is possible to love your child and still have created them under the weight of conditions they never asked for. And the more we hide behind good intentions, the more we enable systems that engineer function before freedom. The body becomes a toolkit. The person becomes an outcome. This is the inversion of dignity. The child is not sacred, they're strategic. And once that frame is accepted, every other form of engineering is easier to justify. You made one for marrow. Why not one for beauty? You selected for blood type. Why not for behavior? Once the purpose of a child is no longer intrinsic, every other purpose becomes valid. The logic opens the floodgates, and we become a society of assigned souls. It's easy to say this is exaggerated, that love will protect the child, that parents will raise them well. But love does not undo intention, and intention matters. Why you were born leaves fingerprints, especially when it's written into your biology. Some savior siblings grow up and embrace their role, others do not. Both are valid, but both must be given the full truth and the full freedom to forge identities beyond their origin. Because no matter what you were created to do, you have the right to decide who you become. That is the heart of the issue. Technology must never overwrite soul, and no assignment, no function, no match should ever define a person's worth. Not at birth, not ever. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing, and no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones, the replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans, the merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of Soul Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.